God can give you every dream that you can imagine if you trust him. Hi, I'm DRAYLIN'S Young. This is my story. I was born May 15th, 1993, in Dallas, Texas. So I grew up there with my mother and my father. Something happened where we just weren't together anymore. So it was just me and my mom kind of conquering the world together. We kind of went from place to place, went to different shelters, different places. So we really kind of landed this place with all my family members when I was probably about 5 or 6 in Plano, Texas. I remember one night I came home from school, just there kind of hanging out with my mom, watching TV, and I fell asleep. And I woke up and all the lights were off and I couldn't see anything, so I turned the lights on looking for my mom. I couldn't find her. I called my uncle, who was not that far away, said, "Hey, I don't know where my mom is," and he came and picked me up. As I grew older, I started to see more and more things like that. There were things that were starting to happen and things that weren't explained to me that I didn't really get. And that was when my family members had told me that my mother had suffered with drugs. And that was very tough on me as a child to understand why or how long or what's the, anything about it really. That's where I ended up moving in with my grandfather and my uncle. My uncle was the one that kind of brought in the idea of church, or the idea of God, and the idea of, there's a God in heaven that loves us and that he's been watching over us since the beginning. I'll never forget when we first started going to church, there was a church called Dallas First Church, Pastor Tom Foster. That's where me and my grandfather and my uncle got baptized. I would go to their youth stuff and hear about God and learn things. Just a powerful time for me and my family. We ended up moving from that church to a new church in Garland, Texas. And we went to North Cities for the first time, and I stepped foot in that youth service on Sunday during Sunday school. It was incredible just to see so many young people trying to learn the things of God, trying to learn what it's like to have a true relationship with God. And for me, that was a very, very pivotal time in my life where I was really making the decision of, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to serve God? Am I really going to be about the things of God? When I was about 13 or 12 was when I had decided to join our youth choir. There is where I kind of learned that I could sing, or I could do music. I remember my uncle came home one night after he had been working, and one of his clients, he's a hairdresser, and one of his clients gave him some Christian CDs. One of the CDs, I believe, was Kurt Franklin's Hero album. The other one was another album by a guy named Jay Moss. This last one was by Israel and New Breed called Live from Another Level. And I looked at that and I looked on the back of it, and it had the song on, it was like the first song on there. It was called Friend of God. And I recognized that song because that's a song that we sang at church. I remember looking it up on YouTube and saw Israel Houghton playing the guitar and leading a congregation in songs that he had written. And it was just so impactful to me. I was like, man, that is just so incredible. And there's just this huge light bulb that went off in my head, and I was just like, man, that's what I want to do. Kind of the beginning of my me establishing or learning what my purpose was, what I felt like my purpose was, to lead people in worship and to just try to help people in any way that I could. When I was 15, they had asked me to be the main worship leader for our youth service. Learning how to, serve God and to be around a Christian atmosphere all the time. And that's where I really learned how to prepare for a service and prepare to lead people in worship. It really taught me that it's very important the life that you live, off of the platform as much as you do on the platform. So I graduated when I was 18 and went off to Indianapolis to pursue my bachelor's in theology with my worship studies minor. But I was so captivated by Indiana Bible College and their music department. It was like, man, it was just, when they led worship, it was so powerful, and they would travel and do all these things and make CDs, and that was just really up my alley. I was like, man, that's what I want to do. So I remember going to school and being there. It was one of the greatest times of my life, being able to lead worship and travel with praise and be a part of the music department and record albums. And actually one of the songs that first song that I ever wrote, they ended up recording it there. And just being a part of the whole process and learning ministry and learning, learning to study God's word for myself. And I'll never forget that time. It was just such an incredible time, and it really changed my life. And it also brought me the greatest gift, I believe, in my life. A wonderful, wonderful woman, best friend, mother of my child, Kelsey Renee Wilson at the time. Now it's Kelsey Renee Young, and she's my best friend. She's incredible to me. We get to do ministry together, and I wouldn't want to do this with any other person. God can give you every dream that you can imagine if you trust Him, and if you're faithful to the things and the people that He gives you and the resources that He gives you. He can make your dreams come true. And as long as you desire the right things and you desire the things that He wants, and the Bible says that He will give you the desires of your heart. And I love it, because really what that's saying is when you start to desire more of God and you desire the things that to just please Him, you will in turn have different desires, and your desire will become His desire, and He'll give you those desires. And one of my desires in pursuing Him was to be a worship pastor of a church and lead worship, and be exactly what that was when I saw, that guy holding that guitar and leading those people and writing songs and doing that whole thing, and being married and having a baby and doing life in ministry with your best friend, really. God is still in the miracle working business, because you're looking at one right now. Statistically, I should have ended up, either dead or in jail, or definitely not doing what I'm doing right now. And I always explain it like this: God was writing my story on a piece of paper, and you get to the beginning and it's like, man, this is some tough stuff, and this is really, really kind of rough and whatever, but then He turns the page over and writes a new one, and it's like God's still writing my story, and He's still writing your story. And if you're watching this, your story's not over, and God is still writing your story right now. And so the best way is to just live through it and just trust God. And I believe that He'll give you the desires of your heart when you desire the things of God. And so I'm just here to tell you that, this is my testimony. This is what God's done for me, and I know that He can do it for you.